My name is Brandy, and I'm 33, and I was born and raised in Monmouth, Illinois.
It's always a stereotypical picture of homelessness. It's the guy curled up on a street corner in an overcoat with a brown bag. When the reality behind it is it has nothing to do with that. It's individuals that we don't even think of. It could be a next-door neighbor that's living right next door to us that's getting ready to lose everything because of a job situation.
I think when you get to urban areas, you can actually see people walking down the streets that have, you know, bags upon bags or carts that they're pushing around. You can see them sleeping on park benches. When you get out to the rural communities, you might find a few people in tents.
It's not the old guy under the underpass. It's not the lady pushing a grocery cart with all her worldly possessions in it. The fastest growing population in homeless shelters, single moms and their families.
I've ran into a little bit of a situation a while back ago, and my kids are in temporary foster care, probably for a little bit of that situation. So I had to pay for some consequences that I did. So
she resided in a home, started her family, and then her mother passed away sometime in there. I'm not sure how many years had passed by before her mom passed away.
My dad and my brothers, but they're in a whole different situation. They're busy all the time.
And her mom was kind of the rock of the family. Everything sort of fell apart.
It's just like one thing after another.
She was able to purchase a small home here in town, but was not able to maintain the home. And so over a period of time, you know, power was shut off, water was shut off, and this is all, you know, since her mother's passing.
There is a high population of people within this community that are in substandard housing, and technically that could be classified as not appropriate, and they could be technically classified as homeless.
From that point forward, you know, she couldn't make it, and then her children were removed from her home because she couldn't, you know, take care of them.
15, 14, 10, and 8. The youngest one's growing up pretty close to this, next to the last one. Oh, it's like the first two, they kind of grew fast.
If you're born into poverty, you have to pick yourself up the entire way. What people go through when they are going through poverty, and the resources that you really need to lift yourself out of that, especially if it's more than you.
Everybody's story is different, of course, but we do often see single moms who are struggling just to be able to, you know, put clothes on their children's backs or feed them. And so we have a lot of single moms move into our program because one thing we can give them is at least a roof over their head and a bed to sleep in. And sometimes foster care is involved and sometimes it's not.
I do get to see them, and we do get to be together. And it's just, there's 4 of them. They're good kids.
And we see that a lot in especially women that come to us of that typical bouncing from relationship to relationship.
Yeah, I've had jobs. And
where have you worked? Who would you like?
Yeah, I worked at farmland, and I didn't mind it because the pay was decent at that time, because I was raising a couple boys.
But the reality is the way the economy is right now, and especially in rural Illinois, the impact that it has on the communities, the smaller communities in particular, it's very difficult to actually put a number to that, because the people that are struggling locally here, with all the factories leaving the area and the big jobs leaving the area.
You can't pay your babysitter until you've had your first paycheck, but you can't collect your first paycheck until you have somebody to watch your children. So that tends to be one more, problem that attaches itself to women trying to get work and be able to maintain a job.
You get in there to those minimum wage jobs, and then there's if you have kids, your family grows to a 5-person family, and the income's just not there.
Whether it's loss of a job, it's a divorce, it's medical emergency, it's lack of insurance. There are all sorts of reasons that might cause a homelessness.
People are not as apt to leave this area of the world, but they really don't know where to turn. And so what we are trying to do is just give them as many opportunities as we can to get back on their feet.
Starting points right now, a place where I had to stay just so I could through the winter months, and I don't really know much more to say other than that.
Brandy is an individual that came to us from a couple different organizations within the community that actually referred her here.
It's kind of an agency that's been assigned to work with her as an advocate. Brought her in because they were looking for a cool place for her to sleep for just a few days during the brief heat spell that we had last summer. And so she stayed with us just for a few days and then, went on. And then we didn't see her again until this winter. And this time it was the local police agency who had discovered that she was back in her home that does not have heat or running water or anything, and brought her to us and asked if she could stay with us for a while. At that time, we didn't have any beds available because all of our female beds were full, and so we were desperately trying to find a place for her to sleep, and we kind of put her on some couches for a few nights. We put her up in a hotel for one night, and we were pretty determined that we wanted to help her as opposed to just turning her away because it was so cold. And we eventually had a bed open up, and then she moved officially into our program.
So what we do is we provide a residential placement for them on a 12-month basis where they come to us for 12 months. We do a curriculum with them that we work through different issues from anger, temptation, to whatever the issue is that might got them to this point of homelessness. And then we transition them back out into the community then at that point.
It takes money to run everything. And because we're in a smaller community, there's not as many resources available that way, and everything we do is private donation. I mean, we don't have any grant money or anything like that. And then there's just really a few of us who do this. So sometimes manpower, we get a little tired sometimes.
Part of our goal is to see Starting Point close its doors because people are stepping up and meeting the needs like they did in the past.
I'm reminded all the time that we all have different problems, and what's a problem to me might not be a problem to the next person, but it's very real. And I think if we just were a little bit more tolerable of each other's shortcomings, that might make all the difference in the world.
Try to get back on track with my kids and make life keep going, and just make a go of life in the house.